So a couple things before we start. If you don't like what you said, you can say, I want to go back, and then go back. I'll cut the bad shit out.
Okay.
I try to stay like about an inch or two away from the mic just because it keeps the ambient noise from getting in.
Yeah, I was expecting more of a studio, but that's okay.
Which is clever editing is what it is.
I figured you lived in a padded. You had at least one room with padded walls.
That's upstairs. All right, let's start off with.
That sounds kinky.
Can we do that?
Ceiling.
Yeah.
Can we talk more about this
Can
room?
we turn the interview back this way instead? Because I think that would be great.
Will the cables reach if we go up there?
Yeah.
I mean, all I have to do is move the plug. Yeah, I think we could do that.
Yeah, definitely.
Live from the padded room. That's a good podcast name, actually.
Or move the plug.
Imagine
That's another one.
Imagine the feedback you get for that one,
Right?
Yeah. Both internal and external feedback.
Bacon didn't talk about the type of batting he had in his room, and
Exactly.
That would actually be a good band name. Straight Jacket in the Padded Room.
Unplugged.
Unplugged.
You're talking to a former radio guy. I'll be fine with the microphone. Don't worry about that.
Cool.
Don't worry about that.
I apologize. I hate when I mansplain.
No. Every environment's different, so you got control of the board. You know what you're doing. It's Bacon.
Not me.
It's probably popping up on his computer.
What's popping up?
Yeah. Yeah.
It was.
This jackass tells us to fucking silence our phones, and he's like looking around. Okay. Hey, you may want to stay about an inch away from the microphone. And if you get a chance, I'd mute your laptop.
Yeah. I tell you.
I might need to use the laptop.
Yeah. It sounds like you're going to be cutting out a lot of my talk. So.
And if you need to start over, just start over whenever you're ready.
Yeah, pot him down. That's fine. Pot me down. That's fine.
This is going to be fun.
It is. Buckle up.
Here we go.
This is PODCASTNV. Okay, so let's start off with some listener feedback. This first one is a new first-time writer. Ooh, short-time listener.
Oh.
Dear Podcast Envy, new subscriber to the show. I came across one of your reels on Instagram and decided to check out some of your episodes, and I'm hooked.
Nice.
I look forward to every new episode. Thanks, Dan.
Oh, thanks, Dan.
Yeah.
Very cool.
This one is from a gentleman named Gary, who signed off his email thoughtfully. Ooh. So this ought to be a good one.
Not warm regards.
No, they weren't even lukewarm.
Thoughtfully tepid.
He says, Dear PNV, wanted to let you know that I thought that the episode where you talked about the 2004 being an important year for indie music, and it was some great insight.
Mm-hmm. Makes you want to go back and check out some of the songs you haven't listened to in a while. Yeah, there you go.
The early to mid-aughts were a great time for indie music, and the latter part of the decade saw the selling out of Coldplay. And a lot of those bands just aren't putting out the music that is mainstream anymore. Perhaps it's the horseshoe effect, where they went in indie, went popular, and left indie. Interesting. Speaking of horses, one band that I couldn't stand that came out of that time is Band of Horses. Their songs are so repetitive. Do you guys know Band of Horses?
The Funeral is the big one. They just played New Year's Eve, I think, a year or two ago. I think it was State Theater. It was somewhere local to up here.
The one that kind of struck out to me for them is this one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was another of their big popular ones.
Yeah, I kind of agree with them. They're pretty repetitive, but
well, that's their sound.
Yeah,
people dig them. People are buying tickets. I don't know. Can you really knock it that hard?
And
apparently, you could.
I wouldn't say that they've sold out.
They wouldn't. They definitely haven't sold out because they're still doing the same old repetitive bullshit they started with.
Boo.
Warm regards.
We have a very special guest with us this evening. We're very happy to have him here. He's a fan of the pod, but that's not the reason he's here.
Oh,
it's nepotism.
Or Tim's paying off a bet to Brian.
Yeah, something.
He is thought of as the cornerstone of the band, the Campbell Boys. He has many incredible stories to tell us about his brother, Timmy. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Chris Campbell.
Yeah! You made it.
Cornerstone.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah. You're probably the strongest out of all of them.
Jeez, I'm sitting right here.
We see, I knew this seat placement would be good.
Yeah.
I knew this would.
That's great.
I knew this would work. That's fantastic.
Almost as never mind. Go ahead.
So, Chris, are you the older or younger brother?
I'm the older and the oldest of all.
Oh.
Yeah.
How many siblings do you have?
4 total. Well, no. 3 others, I guess. I'm the 4th.
Yeah, that's right. You're
That's
number
4 total.
I had to, yeah.
You were right. You were right.
Yeah.
My SAT math scores weren't very good, so that's where that comes from.
You're sitting at the right table, my friend.
So what's the age difference between you and Next?
2 years, my sister. Timmy and I are, 6 years apart?
Yep.
And Emily and I are 9 years apart. So
What was it like being an only child before everybody else screwed it up?
it was the best 2 years of my life. The best 2 years of my life.
Tim, do you have any questions to start things off?
Oh, well, we could. Well, typically you go back in time with him. So
Right.
why don't we get into where
wanna go
he
start
started
from the
with
beginning?
music? Yeah, let's
See,
do it.
I wasn't going to cut you off this time. I was going to let you just run through it.
I was
Well, gotta
prepared to
say,
skip
but,
that part.
But I got to say, in all the interviews, I think Bacon deserves a little bit of shine.
Ooh.
Because in all the interviews you all do, Bacon always leads with the question, and they're always really, really good questions.
Thank you.
There's really good transitions. Don't roll your eyes because you know I'm right.
Hey, you want to go get a beer?
I was going to say,
No.
We'll just, I'll just hang that up.
Every time you listen, a little listener feedback, perfect transition with every single person you got in here. So that's true. Bacon deserves his shine, and we give him his shine.
I appreciate that, Chris. So, where were you born and raised?
Born here, Fairfax Hospital, and primarily raised here in Northern Virginia. Spent a little bit of time in Pennsylvania, Pittsburgh, before Timmy. It's a BC time frame, before Tim, and a little bit of time in Massachusetts. But I would say all but 6 years of my life right here in DC, Washington D.C. area. So I kind of call this home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Were you a music kid when you were growing up, or?
Unfortunately, yes.
Okay.
I mean, we were around music growing up as kids. I think I know every song on every B-side of every classic rock record from the 70s and 80s. And then I was a band geek kid, from 4th grade all the way through college, actually.
What was your instrument?
Trumpet.
Nice. My brother plays the trumpet.
Timmy played the trumpet too.
Was that a
where do you
hand-me-down?
think I got it
Yeah,
from?
now we know.
Yeah. I wanted to do sax, and
We all want to do sax, don't we?
Yeah, and
Sex.
and
all
we
day.
went. In true story, we went to the Music and Arts in Manassas, and my mom looked at the rental prices and said, "Well, the trumpet's actually a little bit cheaper on a monthly basis, and you're going to burn through reeds, and we don't know what that looks like, so you're just going to play a brass instrument."
Is that the same place that's there now?
I don't know if it's still there. I mean, it's probably still there off of 234. Those places don't go out of business.
Yeah, 'cause that's where my son rented his fiddle from when he was playing the fiddle.
Yeah.
So it's crazy that's
Yeah.
been around for so long. No offense.
Yeah, no, I've been around for a while, unfortunately, but yeah. So music from 4th grade on, and I don't want to say I was forced to play, but then I kind of found a little niche and did it. And then when I went to college, you would think I would have said enough of this,
Right.
And took it with me, and was in the ensemble for 4 years down there too.
Nice.
So, yeah.
Did you play in marching band?
I didn't. I actually wanted to play football.
Fair enough.
And actually attempted to play, tried to walk on for 2.5 days, and that was a disaster. But no, I went to James Madison. The Marching Royal Dukes are, top 5 marching band programs out there. No, I didn't have the chops for that.
Do you still play now or no at all?
No, I haven't played. I haven't picked it up in probably 15 years.
Okay.
They say it's like riding a bike.
I think you just wanted to say
He
that.
got the mouthpiece stuck and has never got it unstuck.
Yeah, so
That's
the
what
case is
happened.
kind of
There's all kinds of excuses.
No, I think the last time I played it, I played for a friend or coworker's wedding back in 2003, 2004.
Okay.
Yeah. But I used to play at Christmas and Easter and that kind of stuff at church for some reason, because that's just kind of what I did. So so music, performing, always kind of been there. But I don't see trumpet being a good addition to the local music scene in the Northern Virginia area.
I would disagree. There are several bands that have horns players. Kathy DeToro plays in a couple of bands like So Fetch, and she's got another ska band that she plays. There's some really good artists out there. And even in the studio, I had a for Oh Brother had some horns guys come out and play trumpet. And if I'd known that you played, I would have asked for you.
Well, I mean, again, I would have had to have gotten that mouthpiece unstuck from the trumpet.
WD-40, man.
Well, but no, I haven't picked it up in 15 years. Probably should.
So after that, then you picked up guitar.
I did. When I went to college, I picked up guitar.
And what was the driving force behind that?
The ladies.
Who's going to listen to this podcast? I think there was probably that component of it, but I got my jump into it just playing at church services when I was in college, and I saw a couple cool guys playing, and I really just kind of dug their style. And it sounds funny to say that because you're talking about like church hymns, like, "Hey, man, you really pulled that one off."
Yeah,
right?
that
But
glory be had me jumping.
Wow,
An Amazing Grace is something else.
I tell you what,
Acoustic or electric?
what's that?
Acoustic or electric? Okay.
Acoustic, yeah. And so I went to the music store in the Harrisonburg Mall and bought a Washburn guitar and said, I'm just going to teach myself how to play.
Nice.
And, for better or for worse, to kind of like get started, I would just go to 3 services a weekend and would just play. And, I was telling Tim not long ago, like, if you're around folk music in a church setting, if you can play 5 or 6 basic chords, you can find your way through that.
Yeah.
Right. And if you're not the primary player, you can kind of chunk around and strum and kind of figure it out,
Or just turn your volume down,
or just turn your volume down, right?
Yeah.
But it was almost like just like an easy way to kind of figure it out, right? And there was practice with that, and I would, there was a big church hall next to where I lived for 3 years and had great acoustics, and I would just go in there on off hours and just play. So I could go do a 3-hour show of just church songs if we wanted to, but I don't know if that would really kind of pull any kind of following.
Well,
Yeah.
Brian knows a couple bands that actually do church songs, right? And,
maybe our
maybe.
previous interviewee.
Oh, there you go.
That's true.
We could make that connection.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, I need some gigs, so if it's playing at a church service or funeral or something pops up, I'm ready.
First
Okay.
funeral that comes my way, I'll think of you.
Yeah, you do that. You do
How
that.
great thou art. Might be Jamie's if he keeps giving us this kind of feedback.
I know. Sheesh.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, and then that transitioned into just picking up open mics and talent shows in College Town, and then just. I finally got good enough where I could play 10 or 12 cover songs and would just go to Spanky's or some other place in downtown Harrisonburg and just play. So I just kind of kept building off of that, and then would wake up the next morning and say, I got an 8 o'clock church service, and I've had 3 hours of sleep and about a half a case of beer, but let's go play. Yeah.
So how many bands have you played in, or has it always been solo stuff? Other than the church performances?
There's been a couple iterations. So there's always a solo component, which I don't really do much of anymore for a variety of reasons. But a buddy of mine and I played for about 2 years in college.
What was your name?
We didn't have a name.
What?
No, it was just my name featuring Jeff. Right. So
My name is Jeff.
Hi, my name's Chris, and here's Jeff.
Right. And really, initially, Jeff was just doing that to kind of support me to like help out with my anxiety of just playing songs, right?
Sure.
Even though, I don't know if I needed it or not, but he's got a fantastic voice, and it just kind of worked out well. And then, I played with, I've had different pairings kind of throughout the years. A guy I used to work with who passed away, unfortunately, like he and I played for a while. Obviously Campbell Boys, obviously, Chris and Carrie, we still do stuff too. So I'd say kind of a blend. I like being in a group versus kind of solo, just because I think it's just my own kind of personality, and
We got some more diversity, like songs, other people that you might play with know different songs. You can kind of combine the two.
Yeah, I think there's a ton of value in doing that. And I hate the sound of my own voice, whether I'm behind a microphone, whether I'm singing by myself or whatever.
I wasn't going to say it either.
But that's
Oh my God. Jeez,
right.
strong words from Hat.
Come on,
It's still the first half an
that's
hour.
the explosive
Anyway,
response.
so just go find me on Instagram, and it's great being here. And hey, the best of luck to Radio Envy kind of moving forward. Really looking forward to that 10-year anniversary show. So. Wow.
Well, speaking of your voice, if I may say, as one radio guy to another, I think you have a really good speaking voice that fits radio well. I could see you like being a commentator, play-by-play guy for baseball or football or something like
Well,
that.
I wanted to do that when I was in school. So when I was in school, I actually was a radio guy. I did radio in Harrisonburg for 4 years. Did not have the chance to dabble in play-by-play, although I tried to force my way into kind of doing that. There was a period of time where I wanted to earn more cash, and so I used to read books for the blind. There was a bookmobile that I would sit, and I would read books for the blind, and they would record it. I don't know why he's giving me kind of a funny look.
How do you get connected with stuff like that? Was that through the church or no?
No, not everything's through the church.
I don't know. I feel like there's a lot of connections
I
to be
wasn't
made
reading
out of the
Bible
church.
verses for crying out loud. But,
No, they showed up to his Spanky show and it's like, yeah, I got something for you.
You've got a great voice, and we'd like to kind of do that, right?
There's a guy sitting in the back. I've got an idea.
I just have a question about the bookmobile part.
Yeah.
Like it was a
Yeah.
mobile book.
Who was driving?
Don't you remember? No. Jesus.
Poor kids.
Jesus. Anyway, follow me on Instagram, and I'll be out of here in no time. No. Like, don't you remember, like in elementary school, like the bookmobile would show up to schools, and you could go in. It was like the
Scholastic.
like the book
right.
fair.
Book fair,
Yeah,
thing.
but it was like, you could go in, you could pick out a couple books and that kind of stuff. And so, no, I wasn't sitting there reading the book while the book was driving around the city for crying out loud.
Was
but
this
it
court ordered or
No. But I did that for a while too. For some reason, somebody thought my voice was good enough because I did everything from talking up records to doing news on the news station down there to also going up, north into West Virginia occasionally to kind of sub for announcers up there at certain facilities.
That's awesome.
Made a lot of cash, lots of singles doing that.
Yeah,
and,
one or two.
He's giving me kind of a weird look. And then also did a bunch of birthday parties too. I used to DJ birthday parties.
I thought she meant you
Nice.
announced birthday parties. I was like, I didn't know that was a thing.
No, but I announce other kinds of parties, but not birthday parties.
She's going towards the pinata. She takes a swing. Oh, it's a strike. There's
Lady.
candy everywhere. Bedlam at the bank.
Hey, and with that, we're going to talk about Britney Spears and Hit Me Baby One More Time. And come see us right now on Q101. No, I used to go do
radio.
That was really good, man. I love it.
Up until 5 or 6 years ago, from the one station I worked at, the kind of the call out at the top of the hour is still my voiceover.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. Yeah. And I had gone down, I went down for a recruiting event down there and heard it. And I was just like, no, that can't be. Like I recorded that in 1997 or 1998. Yeah. Yeah.
That's crazy.
It was like bizarre. And I can still recite it to this day.
Yeah.
I'm not going to, but
I was going to say, I'd love to hear
I
it.
think we're going to do it at the end.
Okay.
Yeah.
Broadcasting high from Massanutten Peak, Virginia's four-season resort. This is Q 98.5 WACL Elkton. Or something like that.
smooth.
Yeah.
Wow.
But I heard it. I was like, God, that sounds horrible. Like, we never mixed that out. We never made that better. Yeah. So,
Have you tried reaching out to him, see if you could do an update?
no, because it's a different station now. It's it's not a classic hit station. It might be an R&B station now. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But I used to just slum at the one radio station. I would just take shifts just to take shifts. Yeah.
This is a little inside baseball. Have you ever, since then, tried to hit the post on a song, either on the radio or do you listen to?
There are times where I will hear a song that I know how to hit the post, and I'll
Isn't
do
that
it.
just like the best
Yes.
feeling when you nail
Yes.
it? Ah.
Yes.
So hitting the post is when
It's when you talk until the song starts.
you're talking to the singer starts.
Until the
singer
singer
starts.
starts.
Okay.
Yeah. And the one thing that drives me nuts for some of the songs, some of the DJs that still kind of talk it up, because even then you've got the countdown timer. Like,
Yeah.
I've got 17 seconds to kind of talk this up, so, hey, cool 98.5 Harrisonburg's classic rock station. And you can watch the countdown timer, But we used to play a game where we'd have people in the studio, and I would just turn the monitor off, so I couldn't see what was on there to kind of like talk, talk it up. But there are times people will miss it, and I'll say, "Oh, they didn't hit the post," and my kids are like, "What are you talking about, Dad?" I'm like, "Oh, you wouldn't understand, you know."
See,
But you're in a major market, you got to do that.
gotta be able to hit the post, damn
it's
it.
not that hard. And I'm like, and I'll say to the kids, like, the timer's there, you can see it, and they're just like,
They still
like,
can't visualize what you're
Dad,
talking
like,
about.
I don't know, what are you talking about? And it's all on the fly. Like, you're not reading script a lot of times. You're just kind of talking. And DJs love when you've got like 15 to 25 seconds to talk something up, right? Like Where the Streets Have No Name by U2. It's like, well, I'm going to tell you a story. And I met this girl last night. And this is U2, Where the Streets Have No Name, and because you got plenty of time to do that. Yeah.
Well, and I appreciate it as a kid because that's when I would hit record to start the song.
Right.
So I would have it on my mixtape.
Right.
Is it true that you've had beers with Pat Monahan from Train?
Yeah, so I have had beers with Pat Monahan from Train. So I
When was
lucked.
that?
What's that?
When was that?
That was in either 97, 98 kind of time frame. So this is when, the time I was in college, same kind of thing with you, right? Like the college band scene was awesome.
Yeah.
Right. So, I got to experience some like really good stuff, right? Like, and so really good East Coast acts would always bring either Texas acts with them or West Coast acts with them. So like when Pat McGee band was blowing up on the East Coast, they had a pretty good tour. This is right before they signed with Warner Brothers. They had Train open for them. Now, nobody on the East Coast knew who Train was, but at the time, Train was pretty big on the West Coast, at least in college and other kind of bar scenes. So they came in, opened up at Spanky's, of all places where I used to do stuff. And the thing that kind of caught me about Train was Pat Monahan always does a Led Zeppelin cover.
Yes, I saw them
Always
live,
does.
and they did 2 Zeppelins, and it was great.
And he's fantastic.
He is
with
so
it,
good
right?
at it, yeah.
So most times you go see a show, you don't really care about the cover or the kind of the opening act kind of thing. So I'm literally sitting at the bar, and Pat Monahan and one or two of the other guys were there, just kind of hang out at the bar.
Did you know who
watching
he
Pat
was
McGee.
at the time?
No, I mean, I knew he was the lead singer from the band that I just saw, but Meet Virginia was probably 6 months yet from actually hitting regular kind of airtime. And I just kind of hung out and talked to this guy for like the longest time. And he's just a regular dude. We were just, drinking beers and that kind of stuff. I go down to Richmond for shows. Howie Day was starting to kind of pick up some steam.
Okay.
Hung out with him, Jason Mraz, because he's from like the Lynchburg, Charlottesville area.
Yeah.
Got to see him a little bit too.
I kind of feel like a Jason Mraz at Oktoberfest.
I mean,
You
you
kinda
do
look
have
like him.
you do
Yeah.
kind of have
Thank
that
you, guys.
look.
Appreciate
I think he could grow a beard a little bit better than you, but that's okay.
Probably.
Right?
Most people can.
But yeah, to be able to kind of just sit there now,
Literally
looking
everyone
back,
at this
like,
table. Except me.
Facts.
but I think that also kind of helps you really like the bands, themselves. Because Pat was just a cool guy. He was like, yeah, we've never been on the East Coast. We're kind of a big thing on the West Coast. This is really kind of cool. We got this new single coming out here soon. It was like, oh, okay, that's kind of cool. But
Nice. Can you text him too?
no, I don't. I don't have his number.
He'd saw him for a drive-by.
But if you listen to that first album that they put out that Meet Virginia's on, there are songs like this that are just
This is a good tune.
fantastic. And this is like,
This is before Drops of Jupiter and
Yes.
Hey Soul Sister and
Yes.
all
Yeah.
those songs where I'm like, all right, come on. Yeah, get it.
This is a great tune. It's really easy to play, too.
yeah, it is. It's only like 3 chords and it's got a great drum beat to it, So Bacon could
We have
definitely do
that. We have one of those.
Let's do it.
You do. Yeah.
He's a real percussionist.
He is our drum beat.
He is.
I feel like whenever you say he's a real percussionist, you're saying it in like a derogatory way.
I
It's
was
like in
catching that.
parentheses after you say it, it's like derogatory.
You know where it comes from.
I
No,
it
where
comes from.
does it come from?
His loins.
Somebody came up to us at a show we were playing.
I have a
I'm like,
penis.
from the bottom, literally the bottom of my heart. No, we played a show up in Arlington, and some dude came up and he asked questions about the drum kit, and he was like, hey, if you guys ever need a real percussionist, let me know. I play.
Yeah.
And I walked away, and I looked at Bacon. I was like, did he just walk up to the band that he was enjoing listeing to and say that?
He sure did.
Like,
Yeah.
what are we talking? Who is this guy?
Yeah.
Get out of here.
People are ridiculous.
Turned out it was Pat. Like, son of a bitch. I was like, damn, get out of here.
We have some listener feedback from Bacon's drum playing. Bacon purports to be a percussionist, but I saw him and he was off a half step,
Yeah.
It's not cool. But no, I mean, I lucked out with being able to kind of do that kind of stuff. So looking back, it's cool for me to be able to say, like, I had beers with Pat Monahan or whatever. But
you also, being down in the Harrisonburg area and down in Richmond, a lot of artists had to have come through that space, kind of as you mentioned.
Yeah, I mean, Vertical Horizon was big right through then, and that was when they were still like a duo acoustic act before they kind of went big with Everything You Want. Right before that came out, Jacko Pierce is another band that was, kind of from Texas, but kind of made their way up that way too. I mentioned Mraz. I saw Dave Matthews a couple times down there too, because he would pop into small places in Charlottesville or Richmond.
Yep.
Were probably a couple others. The other thing that was cool too was when John Mayer was first getting his start, he was like a duo act with another guy who's, I think, still the lead guitarist for Zac Brown Band, if I'm not mistaken. So I got to see like early John Mayer, which was kind of cool, and I love his stuff. So really, Ben Folds 5 would come through, those kinds of folks.
So kind of the precursor to the Campbell Boys, you got involved with Dad's band with John Hare, Campbell and Hare.
Yep.
Now, you played live with them and you did studio stuff with them as well, right?
Yeah, I did. I did. That was kind of a fun. That was kind of a fun period. They were. They did a bunch of stuff and played a lot in the '70s, and they actually did some recordings that I actually tried to remix and actually tried to kind of bring back from the dead, from reel to reel and 8 tracks and that kind of stuff, which was a lot of fun. And it's actually fun kind of playing that stuff for the kids today, because they really like it. And then, when they reunited, back in, 2005, 2006, they did a couple gigs. That was when Red Rocks had a little bit of a different atmosphere and clientele. So I think their first show that they did was actually at Red Rocks.
Okay.
And I went there for that, and that was kind of fun to kind of watch or whatever. But for some reason, I snuck my way into that group to just play rhythm guitar back behind the scenes. I wasn't really doing any vocals with them or anything like that. And they wanted to record. So we went to the same place that you and Timmy recorded, Apple Pie and Cosa for Q. And so I supported that recording a little bit for him too, which was kind of fun. And then as shows went on, I would kind of show up and kind of watch, but I'd always have my guitar in the car because you just never knew. And there was one particular show, and I think this was really kind of the jumping off point for the potential of Campbell Boys, where they had like a 3-hour gig set up. They played their 3-hour gig at a winery up in Maryland, and the place was like, "Look, this place is hopping. You guys want to do like another hour?" And John was like, "Yeah, no, I got to go." And so my dad looked at me and said, "What do you think?" And I said, "Well, let's go back in the set list and let's pick out 12 or 13." So we did.
Yeah.
And we're like, "Oh, that was easy." He goes, "How did you know how to do that?" I was like, "Well, hey, I've listened to this stuff for the last, at the time, 35, 40 years.
Right.
I've played with you guys. I used to come practice with you guys." And so that was kind of, I think, the foundation kind of for the Campbell Boys, that, this is doable. We could do this kind of thing.
So who invited him? Tim.
I don't know how Tim got invited. I think,
because I feel like it was the second year that we were playing music together as Radio NV, that's when you kind of went in on Campbell Boys.
Was it when I came to the Springfield Manor show?
It may have been. It may have been. I mean,
we had just started Radio Envy.
Yeah. And I can remember you trying to learn how to play guitar, because I was there.
He's still there.
Wow. Brian just looking for those jabs. Hey, you know what?
Okay.
Hey,
it's all
don't
right.
worry.
I never get them. I take them when I can.
No, but I think it was probably a year or two into Radio Envy, kind of doing your all's thing. I mean,
2015,
I think
maybe.
our first Campbell Boys show was in 2016, if I'm not mistaken. And that was just hey, come over and let's just kind of play. Let's hear what you got, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I think family members, they say, kind of harmonize and sing well together. And I think we kind of found that little niche to be able to kind of do that, and it worked out. Kind of worked out well, but. You were still kind of raw in terms of playing guitar, and no offense. I mean, at the time, you were still kind of raw playing guitar. And I don't know what made us decide we should try to do this sometime.
Did you
I think
him the tambourine more often? Is that why your right arm is like gigantic?
Amongst other things.
COVID. But no, I think what happened, it was like in 2015 or 2016, we Easter Sunday, we all kind of were hanging out as a family, and we just went downstairs and started playing. We went, well, that was kind of cool. That kind of worked out pretty well. And but at the time, Radio Envy was kind of starting to take off a little bit. You guys were kind of doing your thing, so I think it was always been kind of like a side project, so to speak. I mean, I think there was a 2-year swing there where we were pumping out, a good number of gigs and that kind of stuff. But I always kind of looked at the Campbell Boys, at least from Tim's perspective, as like a side gig. And not that that's a bad thing, but like that's just kind of what it was, But
well, sometimes it's part of the reason why we fit so well into so many different venues is because we were a twosome or a threesome, and you guys had a few additional members in the band. In that sense, you needed the space for the for the equipment.
Yeah, I mean, we opened it up a little bit for lead guitar player, bass player. There was some talk about putting keys in there at some point in time, and I think right before COVID hit, we talked about adding percussion. It was always, and to this day, I always say to Tim, like, I would love Bacon to come just kind of play on some, because some of the songs that we do, it was like, man, if we had a little bit of percussion but like a real percussionist, like not a fake one.
We never got the guy's info. Right. He walked away.
Oh, darn. Well, then I guess I'll ask Bacon if he'll do it. Right?
I'll do. I'm sure.
Second best choice.
Hey, dude, you'll do.
Finally, nice. But a couple of the venues that we
there, all right.
But a couple of venues we played like supported 5 people. But that also became, at least for me, complicated to mix out and make sure it was tight and that kind of stuff, because the 3 of us are tight. Like if we're playing, we're pretty tight. You add a 4th or a 5th, all of a sudden it becomes, well, I'll sing harmony on this. It's like, no, I don't think you really need to sing harmony on this. Or
you're right.
Or I've got a song that I'd like to do. It's like, that's great. Right now, the 3 of us are vying to kind of do whatever we're filling out kind of in this set list. And then there are also, places where you couldn't fit 3. It was only 2. So sometimes it was, we like just got Main Street. 2, like Main Street. So sometimes we'd get a gig at Main Street and it was just me and Timmy, right? Which almost felt like Timmy was cheating on you at the time. He was like,
that's weird. Okay. He was in a cover band at the time, so
well,
it's
that's
fine.
true.
Oh, that's true.
Even. Yeah, that's true.
That's how we all got together tonight.
Right.
Nobody's upset.
But I think there's something important to that too, right? Which is, I mean, whatever ideas you all have for Radio Envy in terms of like where you are in your story and what you want to do, like, we also should be taking advantage of opportunities that we have to play music, right? If that's what you want to do, you want to collaborate with people, you've got opportunities to do that. It's like, why not do that? And why be jealous about it either? Sure. Right? Like, I could sit back and go, oh, it's not fair that Radio Envy is getting to do that. It's like bullshit. You guys have worked it. You guys have networked. You guys have performed, and then some. You guys have earned that, right? So like, embrace it, right? So a couple weeks ago, you guys, or a couple podcasts ago, maybe it was podcast number 98, or whatever. But no, I mean, you guys spent the first 10 minutes hearing about Brian's really weird ideas for like a Bacon and Brian kind of band name or whatever.
Oh, that's right.
Me some weird ideas.
Right.
The meat sweats.
The meat sweats. Yeah,
my sister loved that name, by the way.
Meat sweats and bed and breakfast. Definitely still my top ones.
Yeah, definitely threw up in my mouth listening to Brian say meat sweats, but it's like
meat sweats.
But it's like, why wouldn't you embrace that, right? Like, if you got the opportunity to do it, then do it, right? Yep. And there's no reason to be jealous about that, because the core group is always going to be the core group and is always going to do kind of the big stuff. But it's like, kind of why not? So so I never looked at it as kind of cheating or anything like that. It was just hey, you take advantage of the opportunities that you get and you roll with it, and you support whatever's kind of out there too.
Absolutely. Because you're always going to find your way back to each other, for different gigs, different reasons, different opportunities. Yeah. When's the last time you guys played together as the Campbell Boys? Has it been a little while?
It was Willing Warriors.
Yeah.
In 2022.
When you tore your Achilles.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
We filled
bad
in.
timing on that one, eh?
Yeah. Yeah.
What was that, 2 years ago?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
That was the last time we played live.
Yeah. So you were like, dude, I'm out. And Sarah's like, it's too late to find a band.
Yeah.
And so I was like, let me hit up the boys and see if they want to play.
Yeah.
You are one of the OG fans of the band. Going back in time.
Yep.
What was your favorite song that we would play from the beginning? When we first started, what
Didn't
was
you
kind of
play most of your songs from the beginning?
Nicely done.
Well done, Bacon.
Thanks.
You know,
Or at least, let me make it easy. What was your impression of us when we first started?
Because we weren't strictly covers.
no, you guys had some originals in there. You guys, aside from the music, you guys just had energy, right? And it was just like, we're just going to play tunes and we don't really care who's paying attention and who's kind of doing whatever, right? Brian, I can remember, used to like talk to the crowd, right? Which was me and like 3 drunk guys, right? Saying, hey, you know, it's great to be here. And, you know, you were like talking it up. It was almost like you guys put yourself in your own little bubble and just said, we're just going to play. Right. The struggle for you guys early on was you guys had 2.5 hours worth of music and you get to the end of the third set because Brian was like trying to talk you through that third set. And I would look at you guys and I'd be like, can't you play anything other than open chords? Yeah. And, I mean,
And stopping.
in between,
Just keep playing.
in between every song, you know, Brian would be like, we're Radio Envy and we're friends from high school. And, you know, we're just doing a gig tonight. We love this place here in Leesburg. And hey, did you see it was snowing outside? This is great. By the way, we're Radio Envy. And we're going to play until 2 p.m. or until 2 a.m. or whatever.
Yeah.
And
He
I'd
kind of
sit
still
there-
does that now.
Yeah. I'd sit there and I was just like, just play a song. But, you know, so like you guys had, I think a lot of Brian's early stuff was really good. Like you used to put some of the songs, right? Yeah, you guys did. You guys, I think, did Apple Pie 2-3 years into it, right? But like Brian came to, it's felt like to me to Radio Envy with like a bunch of pre-done material already. Like you've got a song, I'll probably butcher the title, but like Little Things or something like that. That's an old tune, but that's one of my favorite tunes that you've written because it's like a really good song. And the lyrics hit me like at a particular time in my life where I was like, God, that's like a fucking banger. Like that's awesome. I had more experience doing gigs and all that kind of stuff than you guys did too. So there was a part of me that like wanted to help you guys a little bit just in terms of, look, you're playing to nobody here at 1:15 in the morning at King's Court Tavern in Leesburg. Go back to your first set and play the songs that you want to practice again. You're getting paid for it. They're giving you booze. Just play
Is that
it
why
again.
you drove all the way out there just to sit in the back and look disappointed?
No, I never sat there and looked disappointed. No, I'm just a big believer in supporting.
Yeah.
Right. Like, and I thought it was cool that you guys were doing it. I always kind of felt like with you all, you guys shot up in terms of like your confidence shot up. And you guys, in my words, luck boxed your way into a couple gigs that really then I think pushed you even harder.
Yeah,
and
now
I think
instead
that
of-
made you guys even better performers. And there's, like I said, you guys play instruments really well, right? You're better than you were 10 years ago when you started, right? But there's a personality about the group too, which I think kind of comes across as well too, which I think people gravitate to that. And certainly establishments are like, hey, these guys are kind of cool. They're not jerks. People like it. People are hanging around. Why not book them again? You know, and there's something to be said for that, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. It's one of the things that actually around that time in the King's Court Tavern period is the baptism by fire.
Yeah.
That we constantly throw ourselves into situations that we had no idea if we were going to make it out alive.
Yeah.
Probably no business either, but we did it.
Yeah.
But the beauty of that is nobody knows other than you all that we have no business doing that.
Sure.
Right? The 3 or 4 people or the 50 people that might be sitting there, they have no idea whether this is your first show, your 50th show, whether you guys are sounding good tonight, whether you're sounding bad tonight, whether that's an original, a cover. Most of them, they don't know that. That's only in your own heads, right? So, but I know that feeling too. And I was like, yeah, I gotta give these guys a boost because I care about it. I support live music. I do it myself. You know, those were some
that very much.
Those were some interesting days and some interesting times. But you guys pushed your way through it, and I think you guys got better with every single show too.
I'd say,
really do.
You know, it's funny to think about kind of our progression. I feel like we definitely got better over time, but I don't think we really found our groove until maybe a year or two ago. where not that we didn't have a groove, but where we're just like, we could do this show blindfold kind of thing,
Really?
Because we were always flip-flopping our set list, trying to find the right vibe to start with, to end with, to kind of fill some of that void in the middle. Because a lot of the shows that we play are just public, like bar shows, right?
Yeah.
And so you never really know what the audience is going to be like. It's not like a paid for event where people bought tickets and show up and they're there for every single song that you play. It was like, we don't know who's coming in, coming out, who's going to show up or not. And it kind of, I don't know. And this is just me talking. I felt like maybe the last 2 years we finally hit a set list where it was like, okay, this is how we're going to do our intro, whether it's the same song or not, but this is like the vibe that we're going for. And then kind of ebb and flow, and then at the end we're going to be kind of heavy to close out the end of the night for everybody that's just trying to have a good time before they go home. Is that something that you kind of went through over with the different artists that you paired with or worked with, or even with the Campbell Boys? Were you guys always tweaking, adjusting, or did you kind of have like your core of songs that you were like, these are the ones that we know that we're definitely going to do, and if we do anything new, it's going to be like, again, something that we're more comfortable with? How many times do you put yourselves kind of out on a limb to try something fresh?
Well, I mean, I would just, with Campbell Boys or Chris and Carrie, we've got our set list, but we'll deviate from that based on the vibe a little bit, right? Or we'll move stuff up and down, just kind of depending on kind of what it is, right? If we're less background music at that point in time and more people are kind of listening and that kind of stuff, we'll kind of adjust it. But I learned a long time ago not to overthink that part, right? I'm going to play the 39 or 40 songs. Now, if I change the order of it, okay, fine. There's a couple times I'll go back and kind of dip into the bag or whatever. But like Carrie and I play the same first set every single time. Same first song every single time.
Because that was like your solid intro.
Well, it was our solid intro, but like the first song that he and I do on our set list is the first song we ever played together. Where we went,
okay. So it was more personal.
It's kind of personal. It's a good song for us. Warms us up kind of really well or whatever. But it also is, we have our default set list. So if we had a show that needed to start in 3 hours, we have a set list we could go to and just kind of knock it out. But I think sometimes people overthink that to some degree, or we really got to kind of change and match the vibe, and you realize, well, the vibe's going to change in another 2 minutes, right? Yeah. This group over here is loud, not because of radio envy, but because of somebody just pulled a Chris and spilled a little thing of tequila on a table, and they think it's really funny. You go, you know what? We need a really
tensions up here, guys.
But at the same time, right? I've done gigs before too, where it's like, this bachelorette group just walked in. We're gonna do "Hit Me, Baby, One More Time."
Hell yeah!
Like we are gonna go off the rails here or do.
We've done that,
right? Or playing at Main Street, and somebody goes, "Could you play some Bob Seger? I'll pay you $100." And I play Bob Seger, and Tim looks at me. He's like, "Fuck you! I can't believe you just did that." Right? Gee, Tim, sorry I messed up your set list, or whatever. But
he did turn the page and it was money.
Just so we're clear, the 50% of that $100 is mine.
Right. Even though you just stood there and just like, But I think it's interesting that Brian. Now, I'd be interested to see what Tim or Bacon thinks, that you guys don't think you hit your stride until 2 years ago. Because I would argue differently, but
not stride. I guess more what I meant was like our comfortability of just like jumping into a set list and the full confidence. Because the reason why we kept changing it every week when we were practicing is because we would be like, didn't that first 6 songs didn't work so well the last time we did it. Why don't we try something totally different? Or why don't we switch a couple of those songs, because a few of those songs we really liked, but maybe the ones in succession just weren't that great. So there was a bunch of stuff that we kind of went through.
I think also, as a person behind you guys, with my bird's eye view of the situation,
our butt cheeks,
yeah,
and backs of our heads,
yep,
yeah,
mostly butt cheeks, but yeah,
he's got a good eye.
I got a good view, is what it is.
God bless you.
It doesn't seem to matter what song we start with. We always seem to grab the audience's attention these days more than we did before.
Yeah.
Even though we start with different songs, and sometimes we start off with Everybody Talks, sometimes we start off with something different. But
maybe it's the fact that most recently we have new sound equipment. I can never actually tell how loud we are, and so we start really loud.
Yeah.
And then they're like, God, what is that awful noise? and then Tim goes, we are Radio Envy. And then I start messing with the volume, now knowing what we sound like. And then it's like,
we're your entertainment.
But aside from set lists, like, is there a song you guys get to that, like, where you feel like in any particular show, it's like, all right, we're good, right? It could be first set, second set, or whatever, where you go, that's it. Every time we do that song, that tells us we're in our groove, and now we can deviate and do and kind of change whatever.
I would say it's less of a song and more of a, like when we're playing a song and
says
it's like
the real percussionist.
Yeah.
Right.
And like instead of hitting on the downbeat, we hit on the 2. We hit the crash on the 2. And we do that in a couple of different songs. And there are times when one of us will miss it, both of us will miss it, and then there are times when we both hit it at the same time, and it's like that's what I thought.
Yeah.
I think like our fourth, or maybe third or fourth song on the first set, like we hit like Tequila or Robinson or something like that, and like
it does depend on the audience.
And it's what's funny is like it. I don't think it really is a specific song, but we just kind of all look at each other and we go, yeah, that was good. And like after that, we just roll.
Yeah. But isn't that a freeing feeling? As it is.
It's so
You know,
cool.
because now you're not worried about all the other stuff that you just consternated about set list and these 6 songs and that or whatever. I lost that feeling or that need a long time ago. It was just like, we got to get to the one song and then we're good.
Yeah.
Like that one that you hit and you go, that freeing feeling where you're like, okay, we'll do whatever.
Sometimes that changes. At least it has changed for us over time. One of those songs used to be No Diggity. And then I feel like it's just kind of waned over time. And then we added Time of Our Lives, the Dirty Dancing, Time of My Life, Dirty Dancing song. And then we most recently added I Will Survive, kind of the Cake version of it, where it's just kind of, you know, like a speech, sing song, whatever. But it's, you know, when we hit those moments, for sure, that you're just like, everybody's here to have a good time now.
Here's something that's interesting, maybe.
Maybe
He says with his full chest.
we'll be the judge.
So I went to the doctor the other day, and he asked me, no, this is good. This is good. Listen,
Okay, it wasn't
Follow me.
the off-air story? Okay.
no, this is on air story. Okay, and he asked me, how do you deal with your stress? Do you meditate? Like, what do you do? And I was like, no, I'm not really much of a meditator. That's not really my bag. He's like, is there any time that you kind of like check out and you just, you're not really thinking about anything? And I said, you know what? When I play music with the band I'm in, I can check out and still be present, but like I'm kind of checked out, So
You
I can
notice
just
how
be.
he didn't say the boys. He
noticed he
was
changed
about to say it, and he said the band I'm in, as though it's only for now. Could be another band later, but the band that I'm in currently, I'm feeling pretty good.
All right.
Sorry.
Well, thanks for our guest. All right. Have a good night, everybody.
This has been a production of
Bacon Wave Revelry
Go ahead.
Media.
Sorry.
The reason I said that because if I said the boys, he'd be like, "What boys are you talking about? And how old are they?"
Right.
But no, like
What are you doing?
Can I just come to every recording? This is so much fun.
You're hired.
So much fun. God
It doesn't
bless.
pay much,
No,
but
that's fine.
but we drink
But
well.
what's funny is on the outside he's laughing, on the inside he's like, "Can I just fucking do my talk?
Yeah.
I have the microphone, you motherfuckers!
He's gotten
Stop
better.
interrupting
He's gotten
me."
better. He doesn't get
Oh,
angry anymore.
Look at his face. I can see it.
No,
Okay,
no,
now
he's
we're
okay.
good.
He's okay.
Go ahead.
White knuckles are going away.
You were at the doctor.
Bacon, they don't appreciate how the proceedings work in the studio, right? You got something to say, you put your finger up, raise your hand, and
Right.
we give deference to the person that's
exactly. See, radio guy gets it.
Yeah.
Tim and
this
I
is
aren't
where
even here. We're at the bar right
This
now.
is where I listen back and I go, man, I was an asshole, but man, that was funny. And he laughs, but he goes, yeah, you were. You fucking dick. I debated keeping it in.
So much editing.
Anyway, go back. I'm sorry.
But my point is how do you know you're in the flow? Like being in the state of that flow, like not being in whatever state that's not
the
flow.
true happiness.
Yeah, and I said, for me, it's when I'm in the band with the band, the boys, and I'm playing music, and it's kind of like meditation for me. That it's like I'm centered, I'm calm, I'm, having a good time, and I'm completely in control, and I don't have to all the thoughts are not like clouding the brain. I'm just
Yeah.
And I think that's important.
Yeah.
I forget how that related because you guys interrupted me, but
See,
it was
there it is.
important.
Can you clarify
There it
which
is.
guys interrupted you? Because it wasn't me. Okay, it wasn't me. It wasn't the guest.
It was the boys that interrupted me, as they do.
So one of Tim's earlier questions, maybe, I don't know, about 15, 20 minutes ago, he was asking about what were some of the songs.
Why you gotta put a timestamp on it?
You were talking a while, man.
Yeah.
He said one of the songs, or like what was kind of the interest with Radio Envy, like what?
Yeah.
And I think he was alluding to kind of that apple pie, or at least some of the original songs that we'd written. So I guess one of the questions I have for you, Chris, is: has your address changed? Have you continued receiving the cease and desist letters of not playing apple pie? My attorney can't seem to find you. So
Jeez.
What did
I
you and
think-
Dad call it? It was applesauce.
Applesauce. Yeah.
oh, is that how you got around that?
Yeah,
You
I
sons
called
of
it
bitches.
applesauce.
I think we did that once, and that was because we needed a filler, and I was trying to.
Applesauce, apple pie is not a filler.
Well, I mean, for us it was. I needed a break from some of the other stuff. No, it was
Ventura
it was,
Highway. How many times can you play that? Come on.
All right, take it down a notch.
Venture Highway is not in our set list. No, it was actually out of respect to Radio Envy. I was like, Tim, do you want to do apple pie? It might be kind of cool to do apple pie, just as kind of like a little crossover kind of thing.
Yeah.
I mean, Campbell Boys was never in competition with Radio Envy. But
Did you guys pay your dues though to be able to play that song? I mean, I don't.
yeah, I think so.
Oh, okay.
I think so.
I'm an owner of the song.
He's a co-owner of the song, and I was
all right.
Yeah.
So now we're just making independent decisions for Radio Envy.
But,
right.
But Brian, let's also be clear.
Got airplay.
Let's be clear.
Okay.
On the setting in which we did that song.
Okay.
It was a national night out for the police at a local community swimming pool. Okay, so it's not like I was playing the old shebeen and said,
How many
"Hey,
people did they
here's a
drown?"
gr-
I'm pretty sure.
Right. 3/4 of the people baking were in the pool and weren't like freaking caring about that. But you know what? You know who showed up behind the bushes? Oh, is there a Vox there? And showed up, was like, "Oh, you're playing my song." I was like, "Oh, I got Tim here
Mr.
too."
AZ.
Yeah, Mr. AZ who showed up. Really cared about it.
AZE over here.
It was never a competition. It was never stealing. It was never any of that whatsoever.
No, I'm kidding.
I don't have the cease and desist letters, and I've changed my name.
There's probably there's a pile of them somewhere at your old address.
What would be your recommendation for Radio Envy to add to their set list?
It's a good question. I just saw an interview done. I think a cool song to cover would be La Bamba.
Really?
Yes.
Why?
Yeah. I think that would be a really cool song to do, just because it's
The Lou
upbeat.
Diamond Phillips.
The Lou Diamond
energy.
Phillips. I
Okay.
just saw an interview with Lou Diamond Phillips, and he talked about doing that movie. And there's something about that song that I think is just kind of interesting. Again, I think about it from this lens, right? You guys do covers of songs where you kind of go like "Time of My Life," like you're doing the Dirty Dancing song, No Diggity. Like you guys do No Diggity. Like that's an energy boost, and people are like, "Ooh, that's kind of an interesting way of kind of doing that."
Yeah.
I also think a cool tune to do for you guys would be something like "Cecilia" by Simon and Garfunkel, right?
Oh,
Because
yeah.
that just has a
see that.
fantastic beat behind it. I have new respect for that song after listening to Paul Simon's Howard Stern interview,
Yeah.
talking about
How he
beat
did that?
and how he did
Yeah.
that.
Mhm. I
But
heard
that
that.
would be a cool thing for you guys to do too, because you would have just a great kind of consistent beat behind it. You could play guitar, you could do tambourine on that, and add the harmony in there. I think that would be a really cool tune for you guys.
Both of those songs, I feel like, are open chords, right? So Tim, you could easily do that one.
God, it took you a while to get there. That was the
No,
only
I was
problem.
there. I just tripped over my tongue.
now,
You silly.
and again, you guys will look. You guys all gave me weird looks when I said La Bamba, and I was,
Well,
again, I
because
was put
it's-
on the spot for that. But
But
again,
no, but it's like
just
a wild card, right? It's
It
not
is.
something that we would immediately think of to do.
But think about No Diggity. Who covers that from a 3-piece acoustic band? Nobody covers
Not
that.
like
you guys
that.
do that, and I've sat back and watched a number of your shows where people are like, oh, damn. Well, that was kind of interesting because everybody knows that song, right?
I mean, who plays the kazoo in their shows?
Right, exactly. So you guys add those things in there, but you do your own variation of it, right? You're not trying to match note for note.
I don't think we've ever tried to do that because I think we recognized early on, like there are good cover bands that can rock that. Like there are some musicians, certain artists that think that if they don't knock it out of the park, note for note, inflection for inflection, then they feel like they're doing something wrong. Mm-hmm. And with us, like I realized that there's just no way that it doesn't make sense for me to do that.
Yeah.
It's not worth my time and energy. Do something fun instead of trying to be a perfectionist.
Right. And that's why we don't play Sweet Child of Mine, because how do you play it without Slash doing that guitar solo? You know what I mean? Yeah.
Right. But no one's sitting out in the audience expecting that either.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. They're not expecting perfection. Quite frankly, if you go into it with the idea that no one's expecting anything.
Yeah.
I mean, how many times have you shown up for a gig and people are like,
strip it down?
No. But seriously, how many times have you shown up to, do a gig and you've got like 6 people sitting at a table and they're like, oh, fuck, there's a band coming in here. We're just getting comfortable. We're just here to have just like some dinner.
And then they get their check and they leave.
They get their check and they leave, right?
Why'd you sit us here by the band?
Right. That can be like a buzz. Yeah, that could be like a total buzzkill. But again, you just assume that everyone's kind of that mentality. No one's sitting there going, oh, that is not how No Diggity goes. I can't believe those guys did that. 99 out of 100 people are like, fuck, that was good.
Yeah.
That was really good.
That was cool.
And you guys, right, the other guys in the bathroom, you're waiting for Mercedes to get off the main stage.
Just rinsing off the glitter.
But none of those 99 people are going, they missed a couple of notes there, or I wouldn't.
Right.
So the more you kind of focus on that, so you can't be a perfectionist up there. You can be a perfectionist by Radio Envy standards. It said, hey, we did that the way we do it. Hey, we got to tighten this up a little bit. Let's practice this a little bit, but you do it the Radio Envy way. So, Bacon, can I come back on future podcasts?
Oh, my God, yes.
Support,
You can come back anytime.
Yeah.
We thank you so much for coming on the podcast today.
Absolutely.
This was a lot of fun, a lot of laughs. We got to, learn some new stuff, learn some history, some of your history. We look forward to the next time you're out playing with Carrie. So please keep us posted. We'd love to come
Campbell
out.
Boys.
Or the Campbell Boys.
Yeah.
I would love to come out and see you guys.
Yeah.
On a night that Radio Envy clearly isn't booked.
Well, because
Clearly.
we'll need Bacon for Campbell Boys too. We've already booked him.
Right.
All right.
Right.
So, hey, cheers. Thank you for coming on. You're welcome anytime to come out and join
Chris.
us.
Boys, you guys are the best.
Thank you.
You guys have always been the best.
Thank you.
Bamba.
La 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 bamba. Little Cecilia. Brian, you're breaking my heart.
I'm sorry. I thought I gave you better tequila this time.
Thanks for giving me an excuse to get out of my house tonight. Appreciate it. God, I don't have glasses.
Sing us home?
Hey, Brian, I think it's time
Yeah.
for
Sing us home!
This podcast was produced and engineered by Michael Bacon of Bacon Wave Productions in cooperation with Revelry Media Productions. Video provided by Brian Johnson. Please like and subscribe to stay up to date on our latest episodes. Be sure to follow us on Instagram at PodCastNV and on TikTok at podcast.nv. Send us your thoughts over email at feedback@podcastnv.com. Stay tuned for more episodes. Thank you for listening.